Bizzong is brought to you this week by the new novel Bankrupt by Chuck Buda.
Deadly repossession. The Wrights have been through hell, and the devil wants more. Monsters have surrounded the family, but they failed to realize that some of the scariest monsters are the ones that live inside of them. Can evil forces transform their humanity? Will the family survive their last stand against evil? The time is now, and the blood is flowing. Bankrupt is the final installment in the Debt Collector series by Chuck Buda. Bankrupt is available in paperback and ebook formats exclusively from Amazon or free through Amazon Kindle Unlimited.
That's right, creepy guy voice. Don't forget to check out Bankrupt by Chuck Buda. Now, on with Bizzong.
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 Bizzong. Bizzong.
Bizzong. Bizzong. Bizzong. Bizzong. Bizzong. Bizzong.
This is Bizzong, the bizarre and weird fiction podcast. With me, your host, Mr. Frank Zongers. Oh, thank God you're back. I was getting worried that you might not return, but you Zongers are the best Zongers in the world. And I just knew you'd be back. I was teasing you all along. Oh, Zongers, as you know, we got to pay the bills. So let's get it out of the way first. You know who we're going to talk about. I got a question for you. Are you the person that likes to stand out in a crowd? Of course you are. You're a Zonger. Then I've got the place that you must check out. Subculture Corsets and Clothing is an amazing store in Jacksonville, Florida that carries all types of corsets. Gothic, rockabilly, steampunk, and pinup clothing, shoes, and accessories as well. Clothing is available in sizes 4 through 4X, and they offer men's clothing as well. Visit subculturecorsets.com online at, of course, subculturecorsets.com. Subculturecorsets.com, one word. And shop now while listening to Bizzong. And when you are ready to check out, use the discount code Bizzong for 10% off your entire order. Not just one item, your entire order. That means the more you buy, the more you save. Do the math, Zongers. That's subculturecourses.com and use the discount code Bizzong for 10% discount. Or you can visit them at their store at the Avenues Mall in Jacksonville, Florida. And you walk up to the counter and just yell, Bizzong! Right in the cashier's face. Cashier's going to jump, get a little scared. Assure them that you're not a weirdo, that you just love Project iRadio and Bizzong, and you're just wanting your 10% discount. Then they're going to understand. Subculturecorsets.com. On with the show, Zongers. And thank God we got a show this week. I had a last-minute cancellation of my original guest, and I needed somebody to step up, and anybody that happened to see the post in the Bizarro Fiction group knows that we did get a guest for this week. And I want to thank everybody for stepping up and liking it, and there's a couple people that reached out to me. Listen, Zongers, we do this show week after week, and I really want to get to everybody, so I try to avoid repeat guests. I want to talk to everybody. I want to give everybody a fair chance to get on the show and get their self out there. Let us know you exist and to talk to you and hear your opinions. That's what I want more than anything in the world. But occasionally we have a repeat guest. Like this week, we have a three-peat guest, a guy I like having on. But, you know, week after week, I got a list and I got people lined up, but I might not know about you. So if you love Bizzong, you're right Bizarro, and you want to get on my list, just reach out. You know, hop on the Bizzong page on Facebook, send me a message on Twitter. Let me know you're out there and you're interested in getting interviewed, and I promise I will get to you eventually. Because like I said, this is, 52 weeks. Show ain't over. We got to keep talking to people. So let me know you're out there, and if you want to do an interview, I'll love to interview you. And the Zongers, they all want to hear you. So, like I said, this week, we got a three-peat. That's right. Mr. Danger Slater stepped up to the plate, said, I got some things going on. I'd love to step in and save the show and talk to you if you don't get nobody on. So I gave it some time, and it came to showtime. So we went with Danger this week. And I love having Danger on, personal favorite of mine. And I'm always willing to talk to Danger. And he's always got something going on. The guy's very active. Even when he's not writing, he's out there promoting himself and doing what he's got to do. So there's always something to talk to Danger about. As you'll see this week, we talk about book touring and contests he's got going on, and of course his new podcast. You don't have to come to Bizzong anymore to hear Danger and Lisa Lestrange podcast, and we'll talk about that too. I'm sure you Zongers are all listening to that as well, since we have a criminal lack of Bizarro-based podcasts in the world at the moment. So, with all that good stuff in mind, Zongers, let's get on with the three-peat interview. Mr. Danger Slater will give us the gong. I'd like to welcome to Bizzong this week a man who needs no introduction because I've introduced him twice already. This is his third appearance on Bizzong, back for more. Please welcome Mr. Danger Slater. Danger, welcome back to Bizzong.
Thank you for having me back once again.
This is kind of awkward because I'm interviewing you like every other guest I interview on Bizzong, and that is via Skype. You're not sitting in front of me. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're doing that little intro. I was gonna be like, long time listener, first time caller, even though I've been on the show twice.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, you've actually been able to, and the only in studio guest, twice already. So this is a different treat for at least me and you. Nobody else probably gives a shit because it all just sounds like the same thing.
Do you think when you use Skype? I mean, it kind of sounds like we're in the same room, right?
Yeah, usually not everybody has the best microphone quality, but for the most part, it doesn't take a whole lot for it to just sound like we're in the same room. So I think
there's certain podcasts out there that like the hosts live in different cities, and they try to pretend like they don't, because they have like good equipment that makes it sound like they're right there. But you can always kind of tell because one of them's got that like little tinny, like that reverby tinny sound to their voice.
You're just off a little bit, yeah.
You're like, well, either one of you's a robot, or you're in different towns.
Yeah, I think more often than not that's probably the case, especially in podcasting. But it's pretty amazing, like vocal wise. I've done podcasts where I talked to somebody like in Argentina, and you would swear like it was so good and crystal clear that they were right there in the room, like absolutely no problem with the audio quality. So it's pretty neat.
Right on, man. So how are you? I guess I'm taking over. How are you today?
See, look at this now. See, we'll start here. Because now, Mr. Danger Slater, you've started your own podcast, and now you think you got a handle on this stuff. Can you what happened there? We got the Danger and Lisa show. What's the birth of that, and how are you enjoying doing it?
To say I have a handle on it is like freaking not even close. We have no idea what we're doing, but ideally, or what we were trying to do with the show was, and I love interview podcasts. I love your show. I love hearing, writers I like talk, and I like hearing celebrities and stuff on like Mark Maron and things like that. But I always have this like, the shows I love the most are things like what Kevin Smith does, like Smodcast, where it's just him and the same guy every week. And they just, like, know each other really well, and they just bullshit for an hour about whatever's going on in their lives. And I wanted to do something along that line, because I know at least in the Bizarro community, there's a couple of podcasts that have come and gone, and there's, with the interview format, and I just wanted to try and do something, different and fun.
I hear, and I absolutely enjoy it. It evokes to mind another podcast I do. And like you're along the lines you were saying, like I do the Books, Beer, and Bullshit podcast. And when I listened to that first episode, I'm like, this is like, he's doing that just cool, like sitting down, riffing on anything stuff. And obviously you're doing a good job. It's funny. It's entertaining. It's like a reality program, and it's Laverne and Shirley at the same time. It's just a lot of fun. And like you said, you don't know you got a handle on it. Like this latest episode, you just like sort of snuck on the record button before you even knew it was going on. And just that's how the show starts. There's no big opener. It's just really raw and two people who know each other trying to almost force a show out of having your probably regular, ordinary, everyday conversations.
I tried. I haven't edited an episode yet. Like, we just record it and then just put it up. And then the last one we just did, that's going to come out next Thursday. We're trying to release weekly on Thursdays. So the one that's going to be coming up on this Thursday, we already recorded because I'm going to be gone for the next week. We already recorded it ahead of time, and I kind of thought some weak spots in it. And then I sat down, I'm like, let me listen to this and try and edit it. And then I was just like, I don't want to fucking edit this thing. This is such a pain in the ass. So I just put it up anyway.
There's a charm in that to the show. It adds a nicely unique touch to your show. It's not polished. It's not, tight. And you just, like you said, you don't edit it. Just whatever we say during when I hit record and I hit stop, that's what the show is. And I think, at least for you, it really works out well. I'm enjoying the show myself.
Well, that's what you told me. That's what you've been doing a lot with Bizzong too, is just kind of letting the conversations evolve and go. Yeah. I mean, you obviously have questions that you ask people, and that kind of directs what you're talking about. But you don't really do much editing when it comes to this show, right?
No, not really at all. And I through my other podcast there, the Books Burn Bullshit, I just torture myself. Like, I'd sit there, we'd record for like 2 hours. And my approach is, well, we'll record for 2 hours. We'll record so much shit that there must be an hour worth of good shit I could pluck out of this. And then I go back and edit for like 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, digging through all that shit to edit it down to an hour worth of content. And I was murdering myself on the time that took for a podcast that doesn't pay me any money and like
right.
Really who's listening. Oh, I was punishing myself. And so we wound up stepping away from that because it was just grueling, and that's why we went on hiatus with that podcast. And I took the opportunity to like take a breath and start this Bizzong and start, not only a new podcast, but just start a new altogether where, like you said, we're just having this conversation. I'm just recording in conversation for an hour, and that's it. There's technical stuff, little technical glitches that might get cut out, but for the most part, when I hit record, this is the conversation we're having, and it works out so much better. And I think that it's nice to have that clean, candid, this is how the conversation goes. I think that's what people really want to hear.
That's what you've been doing with Books, Beer, and Bullshit now, too, right? Since you've come back from hiatus?
Yes, we reinvented it to do that.
I've really been liking the new show. Like you were saying, like there's something about people who know each other or people who know each other really well, and that kind of chemistry that the two of them can have, and you and Mr. Jeff just have a really good banter back and forth, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, if there's one consistent compliment we've gotten doing the podcast for as long as we have now, it's that we have really good chemistry, and I think that was the thing where look, we'll do this, we'll just come up with a little bullet point talks, and we'll just talk. And then there's the magic. There is just you and I interacting, and then we do it for an hour or whatever, and we're done, and that's it. And it's been working out a lot better. It's a lot easier, and we're enjoying doing it that way as well.
Me and Lisa kind of came into it that same way too, because we're in a relationship, so you'd hope that we have some sort of chemistry and rapport, but. Because we're dating, it's not like everything is perfect all the time. Sometimes we're bickering and getting on each other's nerves, and I'm like, do you think we should include stuff like that on the show? And she's just like, yeah, let's just keep it real and just do what we do, and just as long as we don't have a meltdown or something, a little relationship back and forth is it's real,
It's totally real, and that's exactly it's that chemistry that you're looking for. I think people are looking to hear that. It's almost like the content is important. It has to be entertaining, but it's that chemistry that you're talking about that makes that content work. It's good stuff. How can people get to the Danger and Lisa show?
Well, right now you can just type it into your search bar on iTunes or on Stitcher.
Those are the two best platforms to to have your podcast.
If not that, you could just, I mean, we're hosted by Libsyn, so it's the DangerLisaShow.libsyn, LIBSYN.com, so you could just download them straight from there if the need be.
Beautiful. Very easy to find and listen to, and I'm sure anybody that listens to podcasts either listens via iTunes or Stitcher. It's very rare of any other program to do it. You just spoke about you're not going to be around. You recorded your podcast a little early because you're doing some appearances coming up. You want to talk about them?
Yeah, I'm actually leaving tomorrow morning. So I guess by the time this comes out, I'll have already left. I'm going to Denver to do a reading, and then I'm going to LA from there to do another reading. So that's kind of what my week's about this week.
That's pretty cool. Like the last time you were on this show, you were on like a cross country tour, as it were, and I guess you were serving dual functions and doing that. You were doing a lot of promoting while you were kind of traveling, I think, anyway. But for you to like just hop across to Denver, I mean, that's not an easy trip for you. What's the value in your traveling all the way to Denver to do a reading?
Well, the hardest part of you said it's not an easy trip. The hardest part for me is getting on an airplane because I absolutely hate flying. It's like the most terrifying thing in the world for me. Which I've actually talked about it on my podcast, I think twice already now, because it's been on my mind since we kind of organized these shows. But aside from that, it's actually surprisingly inexpensive to fly. This whole trip is costing not that much money to go from these cities specifically. I don't know why. I know it costs $500 to fly home to New Jersey to go visit my family every 6 months, or whenever I want to go see them for Christmas or something. But this wasn't too bad financially. But the value, I would say, even if it was a lot of money, is to try and, I don't know, just further my reach, further the brand, further my books, get them in front of eyes and other people that are not going to be exposed to it. It's really easy to kind of go on Facebook or Twitter and you have your little circle of, your friends that you have on Facebook, or the Facebook Bizarro groups, or writers groups you might belong to, or the people that you interact with on Twitter. And you kind of have this little circle of people that are very aware of what you're doing. And they might be into it. Some people might not be, and they're still in your circle, and that's whatever. But there's people that are going to be there that are going to be into it. And it's great that you could keep, like, giving them something, But the question always is, what do you do to try and make your circle bigger? Or, and try and bring more people into the fold there. And the answer is, you got to do whatever you can. So this opportunity arose. We were trying to plan a puppet skin tour where we were going to drive from city to city to city for about 7 or 8 days or 9 days. Just kind of do the, like through Boise, Denver, Salt Lake, Vegas, then LA, back up to Portland was the idea. But booking readings in cities you don't know and you don't know anybody in is super hard. And I didn't really know what I was doing, but the cities where I did know some people in, which was Denver and Los Angeles, it was a lot easier because I had resources and people who knew where these kind of things might happen. So those were the only two places that really I had people respond and help me organize this with. So rather than being like, oh, we can't fill in the blanks on this road trip, we want to do this little puppet skin tour, rather than say, let's just not do it all together, we're going, why not just skip all the other cities and jump from here and then jump from there and then jump back home and just do it because it's already being laid out for us and all we have to do is show up.
I like that idea of the getting outside of your circles. I don't often think of that, sometimes that there's just there's people who just are not going to normally know who you are that might be out there in the wild. I think recently Brian Keane talked about such a thing where when he went on the tour, he found there were a lot of people that didn't know he was still writing and putting stuff out there. Even though he's all over social media on all platforms and websites and everything he can, that there's still people out there who are just not aware that he's still producing. I guess, if you're Brian Keane or you're Danger Slater, it's the same sort of premise. There's just people who are just unaware, because they're not following you actively.
Yeah, I mean, and Brian Keane's, as I was talking about a circle, Brian Keane's circle's 1,000 times bigger than mine is. So, and if he's still in that same predicament too, like, it's just something that I think any, artist at this level or struggling or to climb to the next level, whatever the next level may be in your mind, but whatever the next level may be, it's just something that you always have to kind of be working for and trying to embrace.
Agreed. Now, what's this Denver appearance? I know you're going to be there with Eric Gumney and a few other people. Is it going to be like a Bizarro reading? Or is it just going to be a general open?
Well, that's kind of how it turned into a Bizarro reading. It was my buddy. He's a writer. His name's David Atkinson. If anyone doesn't know, he's written a couple books. He lives in Denver. When I was moving to Portland from Jersey, he actually let me and Lisa stay at his house when we were driving there. I had never even met him before. I just knew him through the computer, but he let us stay at his house and he took us out on the town and we went to Casa Bonita in Denver, which if you ever seen that episode of South Park, where Cartman goes to Casa Bonita, that's a real place, and we got to go there and it was pretty awesome.
That does sound awesome.
But yeah, so this is a guy that I just only knew through social media who I mean, he's a friend now, and he's kind of organizes this reading series there. It's a flash fiction reading series / open mic called The F-Bomb, and they host it monthly, and he put me on the bill, and I was like, I know another writer who moved from Portland to there, Carl Fisher. He's a Bizarro writer. He wrote Towers, which was an MBAS book from last year, the 2015. He lives in Boulder now, which isn't too far. So I'm like, hey, do you think he could come? Or do you think there's space for him on this bill too? And David's like, yeah, that'd be great. And then Eric Gumney lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which you think's super far away from Denver. But it turns out it's only like 5 or 6 hour drive. So he was like, hey, I could come up and we could and do this reading too. And I was like, this would be great. So we just kind of just conglomerated on this F-Bomb reading series that's going to happen. It's going to be happening on Tuesday. So if this is Monday and you're listening to it, it's going to happen tomorrow. And it's going to get weird because we're all weird writers.
That's awesome. And it's sort of, like you said, this is a reading series. This is done on a regular basis. So there's going to be a sort of built-in audience to it. You don't have to promote it as much to bring in people. There's already sort of an established group that goes to this regularly, I would imagine.
I think they've been doing it in Denver for a year or two. I know they've also been doing the same reading series in New York. So it's I'm going to assume that there's some sort of following that just kind of wants to go to these things and check it out. I don't think they're going to know what's about to hit them because I'm assuming most of these shows aren't really Bizarro readings, and which can get kind of weird and theatrical. So
yeah, that'll be a treat for them. They'll definitely be coming back for more looking for that. Where's the Bizarro people?
Well, it's either going to be a treat for them or just going to get a lot of like dumbfounded stares, like what the fuck is going on here.
It's always interesting to put Bizarro out in front of people who are not prepared for it.
But the ideally, even if that's what happens, even if there's so many people there, like say there's 30 people there, and say 25 of them are just looking at us like, what are these assholes talking about? They're reading these crazy stories and, doing voices or whatever the hell we're going to do. If there's 5 people there who really get it and go, oh, this is awesome. You guys are awesome. What is this and what do you do? That's what it's all about. That's making that circle bigger.
Right, yeah, that's the exact aim of what you're getting at.
Yes.
Now, how about the LA show? What's going on out there?
That one's so on after Tuesday in Denver, on Wednesday I'm jumping on a plane flying over to LA. I'm staying with John Skip, who's my editor at Fungasm Press, if anyone doesn't know. And he is organizing a show at this place called Hyena Gallery. It's an art studio, which also has, I guess, these little weird shows that they do. So it's going to be on Friday. It's going to be me and him. Lisa, my girlfriend, is flying down from Portland. She's not coming to Denver, but she's going to be flying down from Portland to LA to join me because she's going to be part of my performance. And Cody Goodfellow is going to be there, and Jennifer Robin, who's another writer up here in Portland, she's going to be coming down as well. I think we're going to be trying to get some musical guests, but we're still kind of nailing everything down, which sounds crazy because it's happening in 5 days. But
that's going to be that one definitely seems like it's going to be established that it's a bizarre show, like the people going to it, seeing as John Skip is basically attached to it.
Yeah. That one's definitely, and it's being billed as a Bizarro show. It's on the Hyena Gallery's website as, Bizarro reading or Bizarro show, or I don't know what it says, but it's up there, like, billed as, people are going to know what they're coming in for, which is also good.
Yeah. I mean, you got Cody Goodfellow there. That's for sure another one. The name you see that,
yeah.
You're in for a treat. And you're wrapping this all up with an appearance in the hometown of Portland now?
That's kind of, well, it's it's a completely different thing, not kind of in the same. Basically, there's going to be 2 weeks of downtime, and then there's another reading here in Portland. They have this thing called, I'm not even 100% sure about how this one's going, but it's called Wordstock.
Yeah.
Which I think is a big literary festival they have here. But I'm friends with a writer. Her name is Ophelia Darkley, and she writes these weird. She's from Portland, but she writes these really weird stories about monsters. They're kind of like fairy tales, but they're based off of these coffee stain drawings that her boyfriend does. Her boyfriend's name is Davey. He makes these coffee stain drawings, and then she looks at these monster coffee stain things and writes these stories about them. So she was contacted by Wordstock to set up an event for their pub crawl during their because Wordstock goes for the whole weekend. So during that weekend, they're going to have a literary pub crawl on Friday night, November 4th. And she's like, do you guys want to come and be a part of this and perform with us at this pub crawl? So that's going to be the next show. So those are the next 3.
That sounds pretty cool. Like a whole pub crawl with, I guess there's going to be readings at every stop. Is that how that would work? That's what that's sounding like. I think because our event, the one I'm going to be at, is only 45 minutes long. We're the only 2 readers at it. Right. And
Ophelia's the girl who's in charge of it. So she's setting up the theme. It's, she's kind of got this, she's like a goth model. Like, it's another one of, she also models, and she's got this goth look. So it's kind of got this gothic kind of theme to it. There's like going to be like tarot readings and like creepy things and dark things all over the place. And it's going to be all decorated all weird, but it's only 45 minutes. So I guess the idea is people who leave the Wordstock festival then just go from bar to bar for the whole rest of the night, walking around and just watching readings and buying books from people.
Damn, that's crazy. That's to go.
That's what it sounds like to me. I'm not, like I said, I'm not part of the organization of this. I'm just gonna show up and
Yeah,
do
and
my
just
thing.
do your thing. That's so cool. It just I'm stricken by like, it seems like trying to get reading into one bar is sort of a task, but to set up a whole crawl where people go bar to bar and want to see that's pretty awesome.
I'm with you. See, like I'm all about doing performances. I think it's, like I said, it's great getting out there and doing what I do and trying to get my books in front of people that way. But I'm really bad at like booking things and figuring out how to do it. So like all three of these, I've just kind of leaned on people who could help me. And, I just put it out there and I'm like, if this is something that could happen, let's make it happen. And they're like, yeah, it could. And then like it just all falls into place after that.
That sounds cool. I just recently sort of grabbed the bull by the horns and last week's episode was with Chuck Buddha, and him and I were searched brew pubs in New Jersey and sort of found some middle ground from where we are, and went and set up a signing at a brewery in New Jersey. I'm like, we just sat down. We're like, we both write. We're like horror stories. People's place is called Demented Brewing, and they have a giant wall mural. It's like all demons and hell and shit, and it has their little mascot's a demon guy. So it's got very horror feel to it. And we walked in, we're like, this place is awesome for this stuff. And we sat down with the manager and said, we're looking to do a signing here. We'll sit around and we'll bring people in and, kind of be mutually beneficial for both of us to do this thing. And they were like, hey, fucking A, let's do this. So we're going to do it. I don't even know. That's the part I'm apprehensive about. Like, do we do a reading? Or do we just sit there, drink some beers, and maybe people want to come by and check our books? I don't know, like, their regular crowd, if they'll be into it or not. But, it's the type of thing I'm like, screw it. Let's just do this and see what comes of it.
Well, now you're making it sound super easy.
You're
like, yeah, just show up at a bar and ask a guy, and they'll be like, cool.
It kind of worked out that way, but we tried several other venues before we found this one to be receptive. We've been trying a lot of different things. There was a paranormal curiosity shop in Asbury Park. There, you would have thought that would be great, but they were being vague with us, and we're still up in the air. I don't know what the heck that is. And what was it? Oh, Mr. Buddha is really hell-bent. I'm sure you understand what vintage vinyl is, but he's like hell-bent. That's how this whole thing started. He's like, we're going to do a signing at Vintage Vinyl. I'm like, why? Because Vintage Vinyl is like a record store of cool collectible records and stuff. I'm like, where does that fit in? And he just, I don't know, but we're going to do it. And he called and tried to get Vintage Vinyl, and I don't think they gave him an outright no either. And I was like,
wow.
Well, this is crazy, and I'll join you on the trip. But I said, well, let's not focus on Vintage Vinyl. let's do other things, and that's where we came up with the brewery angle. And
are they aware that your books, I'm assuming, don't have anything to do with like music?
Well, I got the Shocker out there. The Shocker.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true.
Is sort of has a music vibe to it, but I don't know. Yeah. They're not directly like musical documentary books or anything like that. So I don't know, and who the fuck knows? It's not a thing yet, so I can only say they were
you should just go up and be like, this is a story about how the Eagles wrote Hotel California, and then just read something completely different.
Yeah,
that has absolutely nothing to do with that.
Just fool them into. All you gotta do is get the gig. Once you're there, what are they gonna do? Show you out? There's a thing going on.
They can't even turn the power off. We're reading, you know.
Yes, that's right. You can't
unless it's nighttime and we don't have any light.
Hey, pull the plug on my mic. I'll just talk louder. Now I'm just the crazy guy standing in Vintage Vinyl reading a book out loud, which would be awesome, I guess. So that's the cool. That's like what I've been doing. That's why I'm intrigued by your tour there, and for like to think that people could put not just one thing at a brewery or a pub together, but to do a whole crawl. That's pretty impressive, because I don't know. I'm going for it, but I don't know if the drinking crowd is all waiting around like, where they really could go for it. Some dudes sitting here reading to me. But hey, you never know.
I think that plays like to Portland, the whole pub crawl thing, because there's like pretty much beer served everywhere. It's like a very beer-centric town. Like, when I moved out here, every single bar I've gone to, I lived out here for a year and a half now. Every single bar I go to, every single time has different beers than the other bar that I was just at. There's
Yeah.
like no two bars that have the same beer, and you never know what the fuck you're ordering. You're just like, you just get up there, it's all like written in German and shit, and you're just like, I don't know that one, you know?
That's cool.
But like,
Yeah,
it's a very like drinky town, so I think that's kind of plays to.
It's kind of funny. You've been away, but there's a thing over here in Jersey. There's a lot of these breweries open up there, and this whole thing is funky because when we set it up, they were like, because they're not a regular bar. I guess the rules are slightly different from them because like we walked in, they're like, you have to go in that room and take the tour, and it's just like a self-guided tour into where they have the the vats and they do all the brewing. You're just supposed to go in there and walk around, and then you can go into their quote-unquote tasting room and try the beers that they brew. And I guess they get around some ABC laws and licensing issues because that's how they roll, and you have to do this tour, and it's just like, go walk in that room for 5 minutes, and we'll give you beer. And she was explaining.
The tasting is the actual bar.
Yeah, it's not a bar.
But
it's
you
a
have to
tasting
go
room.
through the tour first.
Yes, yeah, and then you can sit down. They have flights and glasses of beer and all that stuff. But you're supposed to be there, sampling the wares of the brewery. Obviously, they are a legit brewery. They have kegs, then they send them out to other bars, and you can do growlers and all that stuff there. But this is like becoming a big thing here in Jersey. They're popping up left and right. They're becoming insanely crazy. This place we're having it at, as tiny the place it is, they can get like 70, 80 people a night on the weekends, really, really busy. And she was saying that like the bar owners are really getting pissed because I guess there's some loophole with what they're doing, and they don't have to pay for these liquor licenses and all that stuff, and they're being very successful doing what they're doing. And so we could do this book signing, but she's like, you can promote it, you can talk about it, but you can't like directly tag us. We can't do any advertising for the signing and all that stuff. So it's all very funky. It's like they can't have quote unquote entertainment. They can't have bands and stuff in there. And I guess there's it's kind of shady on us even sitting there trying to sell books. But I guess they can get away with it, but they don't really still want to draw attention to it. But it's a big thing that we're looking at here. And like in Portland, there's these special microbreweries popping up everywhere, all over the place, and it seems like a cool opportunity. I think we can go beyond this and check out other ones and do a lot of signings all over the place at these places because it seems like a good fit.
It sounds like it too. Except you're gonna have to have a trench coat with your books inside of it in case the cops come, so it doesn't look like you're breaking the law by selling books. You could just be like, like how the guys with all the watches and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's how badass would that be if like my book signing got broken up by the police?
Get a thing in like the local patch online, like local author.
I would
Frank Edler arrested for illegal book party at a brewery.
Yeah, I could only hope. It's kind of like no such thing as bad press. It's like these fucking guys are so badass writers. The police had to come and bust that shit up. I could only hope. And so that's pretty cool. That's our stab at trying to get out there and expand our circle. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it sounds like a great idea too.
Okay, so we'll move along here. Our appearance talk. You have a contest you're running for a puppet skin. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, I when we organized doing the show, which was it at the last? I mean, I don't know if I should even mention this to the listener, but
that's fine.
We put this together at the last second because you had a cancellation of who your guest was going to be.
Yeah. So
I was like, I didn't even know if you were going to have any questions for me because we only just decided to do this like an hour ago.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, tell us about the contest. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, that's going on too. Like, I'm just not even thinking about it.
Yeah, I had to do some quick fucking Danger Slater research here. So
I can talk about it. That's good. That's good. I'm glad you brought it up.
yeah, it's a thing you have going on, so we could talk about it.
Yes, it's going from the 13th, so I guess that was a few days ago, 13th of October to the 31st. We are trying to promote Puppet Skin online by having a little contest. All you have to do to enter is turn yourself into a puppet, which sounds super complicated, but it's not, because you could do it in 3 different ways. You can paint your face up like a puppet using makeup, and it's Halloween, so face makeup is everywhere in the stores, and you probably already have some from the 800 other Halloweens that you've had to suffer through. So everyone's got face makeup. You can paint your face up to look like you have a puppet face. Or if that's too complicated, you could use something like Snapchat and find a puppet and switch your face out with their face. So you could kind of do a little creepy puppet face swap thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or the third way you could enter is to build a puppet version of yourself. So you can use some paper and, make just a little on a popsicle stick, or use an old sock and glue some googly eyes on it and, just say it's you. Doesn't matter. And then you got to share it, the picture. So you take a picture of it. You do one of those 3 things. You take a picture of it and you stick it on your favorite social media. So like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and you hashtag it Puppet Skin, and that's it. And you're entered. And we'll share it on our Puppet Skin Instagram and let everybody look at your cool picture. And hopefully a lot of people will enter because it's fun.
It does sound like a very fun contest. You got really cool prizes associated with it. You could actually get turned into a real puppet for all your efforts.
Yeah, well, last time we were there in New Jersey and we did your show, and we did Bizzong, we had our little puppet versions of ourselves that we were bringing around and taking pictures all over the country with, and that's kind of how we were promoting the book back then. We'll make one of those for whoever wins. So that's part of your first prize. And in addition to that, you'll get a copy of the book, Puppet Skin, a paperback that me and John Skip will both sign. And the third prize, or the third part of the first prize, is we have these new shirts. They actually haven't even been printed up yet, but they are Danger Slater shirts. And it's this really cool logo that Eric Wilson designed, and Scurvy Ink is printing the shirts. Scurvy Ink does all those cool Bizarro shirts.
They sure do.
And it's glow in the dark, and it says Danger Slater in it, and this weird, creepy text that looks kind of like the cover of Beetlejuice.
Very cool. I saw the picture of it on your website. It definitely is pretty badass looking.
Yeah, I mean those shirts will be for sale at some point in the future, but hopefully maybe before Christmas. But for right now, we're just gonna have one made up for whoever wins this contest.
Very cool. So it'll be custom fit.
Yeah, well, hopefully it fits to whoever wins it.
We'll custom.
Like how custom you talking about? I'm gonna have to fly out there and like measure them and.
Yeah, you should send a tailor out.
But and then the second prize. So that's the first prize. Second prize is a signed copy of the book and some other fun stuff, whatever we feel like throwing in an envelope. And third prize would be just the copy of the book. So there's gonna be 3 prizes.
That's pretty cool. Anyway, you're a winner. Just getting made up to look like a puppet. That's just winning right there.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it gets people excited, and if someone clicks on that hashtag, they could see 100 weird pictures and go, "What the hell is this?" And they might be curious about the book that spawned this kind of bizarre nonsense that's invading their internet.
I got to ask you, and this is just my observation. I could be completely off. As you know, I am extremely fond of "I Will Rot Without You," which came out at the beginning of this year.
Right.
And then your second appearance, about halfway through the year, Puppet Skin, you had a pretty quick release of Puppet Skin. It just seems to me, like I said, I could be wrong about this, that you're doing tons more promotion for Puppet Skin than you did for "I Will Rot Without You." Is it that way, or is just I'm just seeing it because that's the latest thing?
Well, it's a little bit of that. It's a little bit just because it's the last thing I released.
Yeah.
But with I Will Rot Without You, there was that whole pre-order campaign that we had with that Fungasm Press was doing with Indiegogo.
That's true.
That went from like October through November in 2015. So there was that whole month of basically push for the book there. And then at BizarroCon last year, they turned I Will Rot Without You into one of the featured beers at the convention. So
right.
They turn some of the books into beers. They do like about, 6 of them. And they turned I Will Rot Without You into one of those. So, I got to use that to talk about the book. And then the book itself didn't come out. I believe it came out in February or January.
Yeah,
it came out in 2016, but it was a couple months after the Indiegogo campaign before the book actually was released for everyone to sell. So there was really all that time built into before it where people were kind of pre-ordering it through the Indiegogo, and they were, just kind of talking about it. And because it was hooked into that Indiegogo with the other Fungasm writers like Autumn, Christian, and Devorah Gray, and Laura Lee Barr. So we were all kind of like, helping promote each other. So it wasn't all me talking about myself all the time, as opposed to this book where I was the only Fungasm Press book released this summer. So it's like...
So it's really it's sort of like a circumstantial thing that this one seems to be getting. Or since, like you said, it's the last thing, so I guess this doesn't run into another one where you suddenly switch modes.
Well, there's that, and Eraserhead Press is the parent company of Fungasm Press. If anyone doesn't know this, but Eraserhead Press set up a couple of books for pre-order, which is the first time they did this through Amazon. They have a couple of Carlton Mellick's new books. The one he just released, the Terrible Thing That Happened, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But that was on. They had that on for pre-order, and his next one's on pre-order too. And my book was one of the ones that they set up there. So I was trying from, a month before the book came out, really trying to push it so that this would be successful. For them too. Well, for me specifically, because I wrote it and I wanted it to be successful, but also for Eraserhead Press and Fungasm Press, I wanted it to do well with the pre-order as well, because this is the first time they were trying something like that, and I wanted to help show it could work for other authors as well.
That's another thing I've noticed lately is that publishers and even self-publishing people who do it often are really pushing pre-orders lately. Is there what's the function of that? What's the benefit of getting a lot of pre-orders?
Well, I know the way Amazon works, at least as much as I understand it, which is not very good at all because it uses crazy computer algorithms and they're not very helpful when it comes to, they're the people who use their platform to sell things. But the way it works is Amazon bases their orders of what they keep in stock in their warehouses off of what books sell beforehand. So like it's on about, I think, a 2-week cycle, right? So if your book sells a couple, like 10 books, let's say, in 2 weeks, Amazon will know after those 2 weeks are up and you've sold all those books, it needs to replenish those.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea, I believe, is with a pre-order is to get those numbers up as much as possible, because those sales don't actually count as sales in Amazon until it's released.
Okay.
The day it's released. So that when it's released, it goes, oh, this book sold X amount of copies, and it's every single one of those pre-orders at the same time.
Oh, okay. So it just gives you a big spike on release day.
Yeah, I think the idea is to get that big spike and then kind of make sure that Amazon, Skynet monster thing computer that does all the book ordering without any human person coming in there and doing anything about it. It's all on automatic. That thing is doing its job the way it's supposed to. Gotcha.
I see. That's weird. I always thought it was weird to pre-order an ebook. I'm like, what the hell's the point? I'm not going to get it any sooner. I can't get it any sooner than immediately. But
the thing is, like, well, when we were setting it up, I'm like, I was kind of like you. I'm like, well, what's the point of this? I'm like, I personally have never pre-ordered a book in my life. I've never pre-ordered anything in my life.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a lot of money to throw around on stuff. And when I order a book, I'm like, God damn it, I want that book. Like, that's why I'm ordering it.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't want it 3 months from now after I've forgotten that I've ordered it and I've already spent my money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to go, where'd that $10 go? Oh, yeah, I ordered this book. And when it shows up, I mean, some people have that luxury, but not me. I want a book. I want it like the next day.
I'm dropping $10. I want to read a book now. In 3 months, I'll drop
yeah.
the $10 on that book when it comes out.
So yeah, but yeah, so we kind of did that pre-order thing for this book, and it was moderately successful, I think. It didn't blow anything out of the water, but
Right.
you know, it wasn't a failure.
Well, that's good.
So.
At least it wasn't a failure.
So,
Yeah, it wasn't a puppet skin. It wasn't a failure. So now we got this
you
big.
put that on my tombstone. It wasn't a failure. Just like shrugging.
Here lies danger, Slater. Well, he wasn't a failure.
For the question mark at the end.
Leave it hanging out there. So you said the last time you were here, Puppet Skin was going to be like, there's not going to be another quick release behind this. It could be a while. Obviously, you're constantly writing. Are you working currently on something longer? Do you already have something longer set up and waiting to go on? What's going on with the writing you're doing now?
I'm working on my next book. I'm about a little over a third of the way through it. It's been slow going at first. Sometimes finding your rhythm when you're working on something takes a minute. Well, at least for me, it does. And this book took a couple months to get really going and really, for me to really feel the story and feel the characters and know what I wanted to do with them. So I'm in it now. But at the same time, it's still going to take me a while. I don't sit down and do those marathon writing sessions like some writers are prone to do. I chip away a couple hundred words at a time every day, and that's just kind of how it goes. So hopefully that'll be done, I'm hoping, by the beginning of the year. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll hopefully have that out next year. And I'm also working on I'm not going to say who it's with because we're still in the middle of it, but I'm working on a joint novel with another writer.
Ooh.
So we're kind of working on something together.
Oh, that's pretty neat. I don't know, can you talk about isn't there like a movie project sort of you teased the last time? Is that still...
We talked about that a little bit. Yeah, that is where most movie projects end up, which is sitting somewhere on a shelf and doing nothing currently. From what I've come to understand about it is, we were talking about the script I wrote for I Will Rot Without You.
Yeah.
I wrote that at the behest of John Skip, who, directs movies. He said he thought this would make a good movie. The way he's explained it to me is it's going to cost this amount of money to pull off what I've written. And he goes, we can't make it unless we have this amount of money. And, we have to find someone who will finance that amount of money. So it just takes a long time. That wheels can turn very slowly.
Right.
When it comes to financiers and people with money giving us creative types a chance to do something with their money.
Right. So it's just a matter of getting funded now.
Yeah. But I think the idea is when just to keep your ear for all of us, me and him, to just keep our ears to the ground. And when you hear of something like this or an opportunity, be like, oh, here's a script. If you hear of someone who's looking to make a movie, or someone who is whatever, has that kind of money that they want to throw behind something like this, be like, here's a script. Is this something you think you'd want to invest in?
Yeah. Waiting for a person ready to go, looking for a project.
So all the pieces are there,
yeah,
except for the biggest piece, which is the cash.
Yeah. Have you considered turning it into maybe an off-Broadway musical?
Oh my God, that would be amazing. It'd be, the only problem is it would be a little too Joe's Apartment, I think, because of the cockroaches and the singing.
It could be fantastic, though. I think it could come alive as a musical. Even though I have no...
It'll be kind of like that Evil Dead... I don't know if you've ever seen the Evil Dead musical, but they're like... Dudes getting arms and stuff chopped off on stage, and there's blood, and it squirts out all over the audience. You just have like the dude, like have Ernie from I Will Rob Without You just like rotting apart on stage and shit squirting out on everybody, and maybe piping smells through the vents so it just smells like rotting meat and making everybody sick.
There's so much potential there. So much potential. You could get Goldfarb to write the music for it.
Oh my God, yes.
I
love it.
The birth of an idea. So I'll leave you with that. And unfortunately we do have to leave you with that. Time's up again, Danger.
Time's up. Oh
yeah.
Man.
Amazing, huh?
It goes quick.
It does go quick. But now you have your own outlet with your own podcast. You could go, well, I don't need that shit. I'll just do my own for 7 hours. Doesn't matter. My podcast, my rules.
Podcast and talk about how I was on this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. See that? One hand washes the other. Go listen to that. And then you don't even have to record. Just steal this audio and then plug it into your own.
Oh, man. All right.
And then I'd have to sue you for whatever. Stealing my ID.
For all that money I can't pre-order books with.
Yeah. Yeah. Danger, thank you for rescuing the podcast this week. You alluded to it, and yes, you did rescue the podcast this week by coming on, being a guest. Like you said, I can't believe nobody wants to come on Bizzong. How could that be?
I know there's about 100 writers I want to hear like an interview with.
I know, me too. It's funny. I told you off mic, I have a bunch of writers lined up, but they're just not. We're not working out getting them on the mic too easily. But
well, I mean, it's also that last minute thing too. You're just like,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, no ill will towards the guest I had lined up. He'll be on and doing the show soon. He got bad situation, so shit happened, and he couldn't do it. So and I was like, oops. Then that's my own fault for not banking shows, and that's on me. So
you're keeping it current.
Yes, I am keeping it current, if nothing else. So there is that, and I thank you for coming on Bizzong this week. We're gonna all submit our puppet pictures to you so that we can win great prizes.
Awesome. Hashtag puppet skin.
Yeah, and we'll all fly out to Denver to see you read out there. Awesome. All right. Once again, Danger Slater, thank you for being on Bizzong once again. Of course,
thank you.
You're going to be like the Charles Nelson Riley of Bizzong, just constantly be on the show, I guess.
Yeah, that's me. Charles Nelson Riley of Bizzong.
Take it easy, sir.
Goodbye.
Danger Slater, Zongers, do you ever grow tired of him? I know I sure don't. He's always fun to talk to, entertaining, and if you get serious with him and pick his brain, like he's a cool guy to talk about the craft with too. Zongers, don't forget we are available as always for advertising. As you heard at the top of this show, we have a special advertiser presenting the show for you this week, Mr. Chuck Buda. His book, Bankrupt. And we do that little something special for you like we could do for Chuck Buda. All you got to do is reach out to Jess, Jess, at projectiradio.com and inquire about ad rates on the show. And he'll get back to you and talk all about it. You can advertise your product yourself and your wares on Bizzong or any other great shows on Project iRadio for a very reasonable fee. We reach over 1 million listeners a month. And don't forget to reach out to us on social media where we interact with the Zongers. I say we. It's just me. It's just Mr. Frank. I interact with the Zongers on Facebook, facebook.com/Bizzong. And we're on Twitter as well, at Bizzong Podcast. And don't forget to find us over on Instagram as well, where we're posting all those what's with the we? Do I got a mouse in my pocket? I'm posting all the wonderful fun doodles I make. As I record the show, I typically doodle on the show notes and then capture that little moment in time and share them with you week after week. And Zongers, make sure you rate us. You're listening on iTunes or Stitcher or any of the other platforms. Just give us a thumbs up or some stars, a little written review. All that stuff is helpful, of course, in elevating our presence. And of course, if you're on Facebook or Twitter, retweet and share the links out. Those are all big, huge, helpful things to spread the word of Bizzong. It is now time to go, and you can listen to these other great Project iRadio podcasts.
Watch out. There's a new terror taking over kitchens around the world. Thrills, chills, mad cooking skills.
It Cooks, a weekly podcast brimming with recipes, tips, food finds, seasonal specials, and guests galore. Hosted by horror author Amber Fallon. Hey, that's me. A foodie with over 20 years experience cooking, baking, and generally making a nuisance of herself. You've watched Food Network, you've read cookbooks, but nothing can prepare you for It Cooks, coming to a device near you.
Hey guys! Hi! Check out Rec Level 3.
What's that?
We're a gaming, geek, nerd culture fandom podcast.
Ooh. Wow!
And you can find us every Friday at 11:30 a.m. on RecLevel3.com.
Yay!